This is anthropomorphism painting, kind of this day 2 of our drawings. And what I'd like to do today is show you some basic techniques and what I call watercolor wash. And because what we want to do is cover this up and not do any detail. Okay, I'm not doing any small detail. Like if I had a number on his shirt, or if I had like his eyeball, or I might not even do much of his tennis shoe on this. Just keep it really quick and simple, and I think in one day you can get this covered with watercolor. Now, first of all, I want you to open up your watercolor packs, and a couple things I want you to notice when you first get them is that, of course, they all should have a brush in them, and they should have a painted tray. They should be clean at the top. If the student before you had cleaned theirs up afterward, when they were done, then you should have a nice clean edge right there. You might look at this and say, oh, well, Mr. Lane, I need more blue. I'm out of blue here. Well, there's still a lot of blue left in this. I could do many paintings with that. You got to remember that watercolor lasts a long time. We're not scooping this out like we did with tempera paint and mixing it. We're just kind of, I like to say, tickling the tops of these to get the color. Oh, by the way, you should tape your paper to a board. And the reason we do that is when it dries, it'll flatten out, okay, and otherwise it'll get all wrinkly on us. When we're doing a watercolor wash, one of the first things you do is get some, like I said, some watercolor out here on the top of the tray here. This works as our mixing tray up at the top. And I'm going to get some on there, and I'm going to get some just watered. I don't know if you can tell, I'm not tapping this, I'm not drying it off on my paper towel. I'm just putting water straight on here to get a lot of water, because basically watercolor you put on very quickly, and you want to have a lot mixed up ready for you to go to get it on there. Now, one thing I see my students doing every once in a while is not going all the way to the edge. Notice that I'm going all the way to the edge of this, right up to my guy. I'm being careful but quick, and I think that's the key here. If you notice, there's no white in here, so if you want to make it lighter as you go up, notice I did not put my brush back into the paint. I just put it straight in the water, and I kind of just moved the paint that I have up here and make it lighter like that. And then if I wanted to make it a little darker at the bottom, I could do that, get some water, and move it around. One of those things, yeah, like I said, you go right up next to the tree and the person here. Every once in a while I see kids do this. They do this and say, well, and I go, why aren't you painting it right up next to that? They go, well, I'm going to wait to do that later. Well, there is no later in watercolor. It's kind of an immediate process. That technique might work all right for maybe acrylic or tempera or something like that, but in this case, I want to get that right away. That part. Don't forget little things like underneath the arms. That's a little spot that a lot of kids miss when they're doing the sky. They forget that that's also sky. And that was a little dark. All I have to do is, pick it up maybe with a paper towel or my finger like that and get that covered. And within just a minute or two, I can get the entire sky colored in with watercolor. One of the nice things about it, it's fresh, it's quick, as we mentioned when we looked at those the books, and a lot of illustrators like that. Okay, so that's the sky. Another thing that students will notice about your tray is there is no black. Well, there technically isn't anything called white watercolor, but there is black, but I took it out. And that's why this is empty right here, because frankly, when I had it in, students used it, and they used it to outline things, and we're going to outline with color pencils and do small detail with color pencils, so we don't need to do that. But if you, let's say you add a penguin as your animal, or in this case I have a track on the field down here, and that track should be gray. You can make gray by, and if you remember this from the first 9 weeks of color, by mixing it with complementary colors. The complementary of red is green, and if I put those together like that, I should get a pretty convincing gray. Now sometimes if you have too much red, it'll be a warmer gray, If you get a little heavy on the green, it'll be a cool gray. But frankly, I prefer one or the other. Gray. If I gave you the black ones and it's just kind of a dead gray, I don't think it looks nearly as nice. So having mixing this way, even if you had black sometimes, I often would suggest mixing with complementary colors. You could do it with orange and blue. You could do it with yellow and purple. But I think as far as these watercolors go, the red and green are the quickest and easiest way to do that. So I'm going to get some on there. You can see my brush drying up. I don't know if you could tell. When the edges are dry like that, basically you always want a puddle of water to move around and then put paint into it. So, and keeping it light is good. I mean, this is, like I said, if the lighter sometimes it is, the fresher it looks, and it dries pretty dark like that. So I've already got the ground. I could do the grass really quick and the trees and have this knocked out in no time. One other thing, notice I did do the backgrounds first and then I went into the smaller stuff. This helps on a couple levels. One, it gets that out of the way. It gets that big stuff done first. If I happen to not do the shorts or the shirt or something like that, I can always do that with color pencil if I ran out of time. But mostly, what's nice about that is you want to think big to small, and you're going to be faster and more successful, and not worry too much about the detail. I've had a lot of kids start with the soccer ball or something like that, and we don't want to do that. Okay, I'll finish this up, and then our next video will be on doing texture and outlining with color pencil. Thank you.